Should we start by singing something patriotic?
Nobody
told me there'd be a dragon.
Welcome to Viewlittle, week 26.
Week 26.
Woo!
We're halfway there.
Whoa.
Almost halfway there. We gotta finish this episode.
You're right. We got to wait till the end of the episode. It's July 4th when this episode releases.
It is July 4th. This is the first patriotic episode.
It's our
of the
first
series.
patriotic episode in the series. We both watched Dolittle separately this time for scheduling constraints. How was the 26th watch of the year for you?
I watched it before this. I woke up early, and to say I watched it is a stretch because I sat in front of it and it played, and I don't really remember a lot of it. I didn't fall asleep. I just wasn't. It was so hard to concentrate by myself this time.
I understand completely. I watched it last night, and in an effort to keep myself focused while watching it, I tried to come up with a task for myself, and I decided I was going to try to count the number of cuts in the movie. I got up to 250. That was at 13 and a half minutes. And I said, I'm not going to keep counting.
I don't know enough about like editing. How many cuts are like typical then?
So I sort of did some Googling because I stopped it right at 13 and a half minutes when I hit 250 and I was like, hold on. I did some Googling and I was like, how many cuts are in Dolittle? Average shot length in Dolittle, things like that. Nobody's calculated this that I could find with just a couple quick Google searches.
Right.
So then I started looking at average shot length websites to see if any of them had Dolittle listed. They didn't. But the average shot length has been shrinking. The number of cuts has been growing.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Typing. If I'm remembering right, I think it's down to like the average shot length is 3 to 4 seconds.
That seems super
in
short.
Movies now. Which, yeah, that's pretty quick. So editing is definitely sped up over time.
I wonder how much of it is like the big budget movies, like big budget,
like Marvel, like popcorn,
your action
movies.
Because that's like been the whole trend, doing more and more cuts per like scene to get around action. And I feel like a lot of the bigger budget movies are definitely like that.
I know that there are still, art house movies with long takes and things like that.
Yeah.
There's still slow movies, but
I was even meaning like as per like big releases, because like I can't imagine like Oppenheimer or something having a 3-second
average cut.
Yeah, right.
I guess it depends how many angles of the explosion they show.
But you get what I'm saying, right? Like there's enough movies that aren't like big dumb action movies, I feel like, that should have longer shots. So I'm wondering if is it like a general trend, or is it like a trend of like more movies are made to be like this now?
I should have looked more closely. I don't know if it was just measuring movies in theaters or if it was measuring like every release. I can't imagine someone has counted every release's number of shots, but maybe they have. That actually sounds like something someone would do. So,
I mean, I'm curious, but I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah. When I got to 250, I went, this is something that there's a better way to count.
There's probably like a program or something that can go through it.
It'd definitely be easier to make the cuts and then go through and count 1, 2, 3. I think that would be the way to do it. Anyway, aside from giving up on counting after 13 and a half minutes, it was the 26th watch. There were some things that I noticed this time because I was wearing headphones.
Okay.
There were more insert lines that background characters say.
Yeah, the dog is licking the queen. There's like a...
This is ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed that this time. The benefit of headphones.
I also noticed that today.
There was another one, I don't remember what it was now, is in that same scene, there's a woman talking before the dog part. I don't remember what she says. It's just like some off comment.
Okay, while we're on this, I think it's finally time. I need to challenge you on the whoa, it's a big cave line. I don't think it's Plimpton. I listened to it. I kept rewinding and listening to it. I think it's Yoshi.
No way.
So my reasoning for it is two. One, it doesn't sound like Plimpton at all. But it's like...
Whoa. A big cave.
The way I listened to the audio over and over, the audio itself sounds edited. So we're
gonna play the soundbite right now.
Whoa, a big cave.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. And it's just impossible for me to like parse out that it's Plimpton. But I was looking at it and like Yoshi is front and center and he's like standing up. And Plimpton's right behind him. So I figure it has to be one of those two, right?
Right.
And I feel like John Cena's voice matches more, but I don't know. I couldn't tell. They're both not right. It doesn't sound like either of them.
I'm so sure it's Plimpton.
I mean, just listen to it and let me know.
I'm gonna listen. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to it again a few times over. I'm gonna pull up the Spanish version as well. Here it is in Spanish.
Whoa, una cuevota.
I don't know if that's helpful at all.
I mean, it's not really helpful to anyone because there's a good chance no one's
listened to the
movie.
Spanish. No one's listened to the Spanish.
Yeah, I think that's how we determined it was Plimpton, is the French one, right?
The French, it sounded kind of like Plimpton in the French one, but it was also kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
You're right that it's not like a 1-for-1 Plimpton voice.
No. And then,
But I think it's a Plimpton voice trying to be wowed by the cave.
so I did I slowed it down, I replayed it, and it sounds distorted. They were trying to like give it a cave effect. So
Some echoes and some...
yeah, so
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like a human talking.
Since it is July 4th
Yep.
and we're feeling a bit patriotic, let's talk about colonialism in this movie.
Yeah, I was trying to pay attention to anything that could be colonialism.
I think that the obvious overarching thing to it is that you have the monarchy sending out its subjects into the world to harvest natural resources for them for the benefit of the empire.
I think a better ending of this movie would be like the bats, because you know what the British would do is they would take marginalized groups and they would give them power because they would
Right.
enforce it for them.
Right.
So it'd be the bats overtaking the dragon and then the dragon being forced to harvest Eden fruits. Or it could just be them taking the dragon and the dragon forces the bats to harvest Eden fruits. Moodfly
That seems like something they would do.
Moodfly comes back as a conqueror. Wait, so what colonialism motifs do you get from this movie? I'm sorry.
The colonialism motifs, the main one is just the taking of the Eden fruit from this island, this great natural resource, and returning it for use by the monarchy. However, it is just used to cure the queen. It's not like it's, oh, we need this now for everyone in our empire. The empire will use this power. You know, if Moodfly had been a bit more vigorous of a villain, that's probably what he would have done.
You know what would have made this better? I'm thinking of this now.
What?
Like, give it some closure, as if Dolittle, in case you were wondering, it showed Dolittle returning the journal to Rizzoli.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because, like, what happened to the journal?
It's still on the British battleship.
And what happened to the British?
Well, most of them got burned up and eaten.
No, not even most of them. Like,
okay,
two
of them got burned up and eaten.
The rest escape. And
The rest of the rifle company, the rifle troop, do escape.
And they don't need Moodfly for anything.
Right, they probably just leave the island, right?
Yeah, and then they bring the journal back.
With bigger guns to kill the dragon.
Yeah, and they bring the journal back to the queen, who's just been saved by this miracle fruit.
And so she's going to want that.
Yeah, why wouldn't she?
Yeah. Well, that's the other piece of colonialism is Moodfly smashing the flag onto the island.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a big one. And there's like some commentary there. The big dragon comes and burns everyone alive.
Yeah.
And then the good doctor gives the dragon an enema.
So
no, that kind of makes sense. So, like, the dragon is the symbol of resistance, right, to the British monarchy. And then Dolittle comes along and he shoves a leak up the resistance butt. And then they cave and...
into a group who are resistant to the monarchy.
Yeah.
the Scottish, pulls out a bagpipe.
So weird. I wonder what they were thinking when they're like a bagpipe.
The other obvious colonialism tie probably is the imagery of the dragon and the imagery of the leak being connected to the Welsh Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah.
It's all sort of like...
And how he's subservient to the
monarchy.
To the English ruling
class. Yeah. I have something to confess. I was watching this movie after stopping counting, and I was trying to find colonialism connections, and I got distracted after a certain moment.
Okay.
In the scene with the dragon, there's a particular line that's towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, you got distracted at the big climax.
But there's a particular line that the dragon gives that made me go, knowing this movie came out in January of 2020. It started development probably 2017. Is that correct? I believe so. The timeline here.
Oh, gosh.
There's a certain line delivered by the dragon, which tells me it is something entirely different that's inspiring this movie. The dragon shouts, "Just leave." Do you know where I'm going with this?
No, I don't know where you're going with this.
Brexit.
Shut up.
No, seriously. I think that this entire movie is an allegory for Brexit. And the more I started thinking about it, the more I realized how true it is. So you have the Queen, which represents England and Great Britain itself, right? She's the head of state.
Okay, I'm following.
She's poisoned. What is she poisoned by? People trying to seize power and gain control.
No.
So England itself, Britain itself being poisoned, it's like it's poisoned by the idea of Brexit, the idea of receding away.
Wait, but where are you going with this? Because the dragon said just leave, so it seems like Brexit is the solution here.
Well, the dragon is screaming at Dolittle to just leave. And Dolittle says, "No, I think we're here to help her." And what does he start pulling out of the dragon? Pulls out the whole Spanish army, Europe, pulls out the bagpipes of Scotland, who voted Remain, right?
Okay.
And I think that the idea here is what they're trying to say is there's still help for England. We can still cure this poison planted here by Eurosceptics and disaster capitalists that are trying to benefit from the situation.
I gotta say, if the dragon is symbolic of England, right? Then it is.
No, the Queen is England.
Then what's the dragon symbolic of? Because you made it seem like the dragon's symbolic of England, and then we're pulling out the Spanish and we're pulling out the Scottish.
Right, because that's the Brexit moment itself.
No, because that's the problem. That's what's hurting her.
Yes.
And then she's
no, but the Queen is still poisoned, right?
Frank, you explained it, and it's pro-Brexit.
It is pro-Brexit, but it's also anti-Brexit.
No, it's not at all, because it's like, hey, let's take out the Spanish, let's take out the Scottish, and now England is cured.
Well, no, the Queen is still poisoned.
They gained the cure from kicking out the foreign elements out of this dragon.
Okay, it's possible that this movie is pro-Brexit. But let me read a couple other lines here that I have written down. Okay, so the movie came out January 17th of 2020, right?
Yeah.
Brexit Day was the 31st of January 2020.
Okay.
So it came just shortly after.
So you think this is the movie that did it?
No, I think this... well, because it was already decided. The referendum, the decision to leave was on the 23rd of June 2016. So it was before this movie was created. Here's what the dragon says to Dolittle. First of all, it turns blue, which is the color of the EU.
Okay.
The European Union.
Sure.
It says, "I've seen armies of every kind, but nothing like you. What unites such a group of creatures?" And what is this group of creatures she's talking about? A bunch of foreign implants who are living in Britain. Health service workers, the majority of them, it's fair to say. Dolittle responds, "Well, we may not look it, but somehow we just belong together." So Dolittle is pro-EU.
You know what? I'm going to use this against you. I think
Better
this
together. This is telling Scotland not to
because
not to vote yes on a second referendum.
they're like, this is Wales, and then they use Wales to open it up and take out the foreign elements and that are completely foreign. Like the Spanish army is against the British, right?
Yeah.
And same with Scotland because they voted to remain.
Yeah.
And then the dragon is like, what unites them? Because they are all British, even if they're from different countries.
Okay.
They are British. They're living in the UK. And they're like, well, we may not look at what we're family. Which what they're saying is like, we don't need outside help.
Right. We belong together.
We belong
We're
together.
the UK.
Yeah. we don't need outside help. We can take care of problems on our own.
That, the pro-Brexit read, it is getting stronger here.
And like let's see. Okay, so the Queen, right? What was she saved by?
She was saved by taking magic fruit and curing the poison that was given to her by the House of Lords, who are conspiring for power.
Yeah, I think we need to get them out. I mean, I'm just saying, Lord Badgley kind of...
See, Lord Badgley to me represents an old pensioner and also the Eurosceptic, conservative, rich, old people.
No,
right?
see, to me, he is a man of the Euro.
You think that he is trying to keep power...
He's trying to keep
so that they won't leave Europe.
Yeah, this new prime minister they have is really shaking things up, saying we can do it on our own. That's what the Queen is saying. We don't need other countries' help.
The monarchy probably is pro-Brexit because it keeps their power centralized in the UK, as opposed to we're not governed by we don't hold ourselves to Europe's laws.
Remember, the reason why Badgley is trying to seize power is because he's like, what will the other countries think?
Okay.
So he's clearly caring about what, the EU thinks. That's probably the weaker point. But the Queen sends a jaded person from the UK to go across a journey to bring back a cure. And he comes back as a strong monarchist at the end. And then Polly says, I wrote this down too. This is the last section of the movie here. Okay.
Our story ends the way it began, mostly. There once was a peculiar doctor who found that he was at his best when sharing his extraordinary ability with others. Soon Dr. Dolittle reopened his gates as Lily would have wanted. So this, to me, is returning to the EU.
That's good. But I mean, if
Dolittle discovered his place in the world once again. After all, it's only by helping others that we can truly help ourselves. So to me, this ending of the movie is showing that it's okay to cure the poison from the UK and to say it's okay to go back to the EU.
I mean, okay, let's think about this though. Stubbins is a good English boy, and
he is a good English boy, and he represents the people who weren't old enough to vote when Brexit happened.
Okay, that's really good.
So the youth that weren't old enough to vote, they're the ones who bring the cure to Great Britain.
So I think Dolittle, he's jaded. He's not so sure about England. He thinks they need outside help.
He's married to an immigrant.
And then this good English boy comes in and convinces him otherwise. Like, this is an inside problem. We can take care of our own things. And yeah, they're opening their doors, but I feel like, I mean, I don't remember seeing any Spanish people coming through his doors. And like, if you look at...
They do all speak English except for the French fox. That's a good point.
If you look at it even closer, Rizzoli is the bad guy. The only...
No, but he has a reconciliation with Dolittle.
Yeah, but he's like, go and don't ever come back.
He doesn't say don't ever come back.
He kind of does. I mean, you're right.
He says get going. So this is the EU... After all of the referendums and everything going,
like,
the EU is trying to make the deal with them. That's Rizzoli. He's trying to make the deal with them. Because at first they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing this Brexit stuff for? And then finally the population is like, no, we're going. We're Brexiting. 51% of them decided. And so then that's whenever King Rizzoli, and that's the EU, they're like, you know what? We wash our... Here's a boat. Get out of here. Go back. Go.
Gosh.
I think that works.
Yeah, no, and then they save the Queen, So you're saying that by the EU saying like get out of here, that England is saved?
No. Yes.
I mean, that's what you just said.
Not really.
Yeah, Rizzoli, he's
I mean, the
representing
reality
other
is-
nations, and he's like, take
Get
this
going.
boat, get out of here. We don't need you.
So get going.
And then it solves all their
but
problems.
he also says, like, hey, listen, Lily, the immigrant,
Don't bring Lily into this. She's been through enough, Frank.
they, where was I going with this?
He still sees her too.
Right.
So are you saying that in this scene, Dolittle is addressing the fact that they're an immigrants, and then Rizzoli is like, yes, there are. I also see those.
There are people seeking asylum and, for example, National Health Service workers.
I got it.
If I can just break it down, take a step back for a second. Badgley is the old pensioners who are voting to leave. Stubbins is the youth who aren't old enough to vote yet. Moodfly is
A hardline.
exploitation, hardline Brexiter,
Yeah.
but also representing the privatization of the National Health Service and the disaster capitalism that took place. So he's pushing for Brexit because he wants history to remember him. He's searching for personal glory, personal
Right.
wealth.
Who was the prime minister when it?
It was so in 2016 it started with Cameron,
Yeah.
and then he resigned because they voted to leave, and then May took over, and she resigned because they couldn't come up with a deal, and then Boris Johnson took over, and he's the one who saw them through Brexit.
Right. And he got voted out, right?
He did in COVID scandals,
That
but
was all like 10 years ago.
I think that he was the only Eurosceptic among those prime ministers. Like, he's the one who wanted Brexit.
Right. Yeah.
And the other ones were like, we don't actually want Brexit.
Yeah. Weren't they trying to like force the EU's hand to give them like?
They were they didn't want a no deal Brexit. I think that, and they kept getting extensions. And so that's sort of what's going on in the movie is the extensions.
But I think we need to take an even further step back. Stephen Gagnon is clearly, from the start of the movie to the end of the movie.
This is a movie of hope. It's saying we may have Brexited, but we can go back.
So who changed the beginning?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying who's responsible for...
Because there are mixed messages. The dragon scene, which we assume is reshoots.
We can pretty confidently say the colonoscopy part is reshoots.
Yeah, and we know that is pro-Brexit.
No, not necessarily pro-Brexit.
I think it's pro-Brexit.
But it's definitely... I don't know that it's pro-Brexit, because here's what
They removed the foreign elements out of a dragon,
to
and
me,
it cures her.
So the Welsh population voted largely leave. No, that's not true. They also voted remain, I think, actually. The Welsh so the thing clogging the dragon...
is the Scottish. And what did they vote, Frank?
They voted mostly remain.
Wasn't it like almost unanimously, too?
No, it was like 68% or 65% or something.
I thought it was really high.
It was much higher than the rest of... It was like the same percentage that like London and Manchester and urban areas voted. And I'm pretty sure Scotland, those urban areas in Wales all wanted to remain. And it was everybody else who was like, we're leaving. Brexit. Brexit means Brexit.
Dolittle could be representative of the people who didn't think it mattered to vote and then didn't vote.
That's very true, because he pulled away from the world, right?
Yeah.
He's like, it doesn't matter. My vote doesn't matter. He's pulled away.
This is a joke.
He's the population that's refusing to vote. The indifferent population.
Or he's also the one who's like, oh, this is a joke. I'll
Even though
vote
it
yes.
affects his
He'll
wife.
never win.
And it affects his, the Generation Xers, the Gen Xers who are different. is that what we're blaming?
Yeah, we're blaming the Gen Xers. They're the worst. I do feel like for too long, boomers have been catching a lot of flack when really it's the Gen Xers now. Because, all the boomers are dying. There's a little tiny spider on the mic.
I see him. He's crawling around.
Yeah, he was on my hat and he kept going up and down.
Not even spiders like spiders, though. He hates himself.
I am worried about the boy, Frank.
I'm worried about the spider.
Me being the boy here. I mean, I would carry him outside. Not even spiders like spider. You know how awful that is?
That not even spiders like spiders?
No, that He's like, yeah, he even separates spiders from their families by taking them outside their home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I definitely Arnold Stubbins is a hardline Brexiter.
Arnold Stubbins is the population that didn't realize what they were losing through Brexit.
No, I don't.
And then at the end of the movie, he finds out how great it is to be back in the EU because of the benefits.
I don't know.
Because what happens? They get their dogs delivered, and the National Health Service is still functioning well. And okay, so there's some reaches going on here with my Brexit comparisons. But I did think it was funny after the dragon shouted, "Just leave." It was like,
gosh, you should have told me to look for this. I would have looked for it. I was looking for colonialism, and I couldn't really find any.
Yeah, I mean the colonialism is just like the resource exploitation and pro-empire stuff, planting the flag. Speaking of flags, that was another thing I noticed on this watch. The flag flown on Dolittle's ship. I was always thinking it was a red dragon of Wales. I looked closer at it this time. It's a red lily.
Right.
So the flag itself is a white background, and there's a red lily in the center because of lily.
And the boat's called the Water Lily or something?
It is called the Water Lily. There's also the Royal Navy's white ensign is visible only on the dinghy that Moonfly takes to the ship. There are no flags flown by the Britannia warship. I have a feeling it's probably because they didn't want to animate flags on it because their flag CGI doesn't look very good.
That's really
funny.
But I
did think it was funny that the English Union Jack or anything, it wasn't flown on the ship itself.
I mean, why would they fly?
It was an unmarked vessel because they were doing illegal things like invading. That's another colonialism thing. Whenever they boots on the ground in Monteverde.
Yep.
They enter the streets.
And Dolittle is kind of a local there. So they use the local to steal the journal.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. The other flag, the Union Jack that gets planted. There's also a flag on the back of the ship that they get given at Monteverde. And it's only visible in one shot. And it's really dark. And you can't really tell what it is.
Did you enhance?
But it's like a blue background, it looks like, or a navy blue background.
Oh, so you think it's
and
the
there's
EU.
some kind of white. Yeah. There's some
like
kind of
stars.
white thing in the center. I tried to find similar flags to it. There is the controversially connected to Martinique old flag was a flag that was blue, and in the quadrants of it, there's a white snake that looks kind of similar to the design on the back of this flag, but it was used mostly by slavers flying for the island of Martinique. So it's super controversial, and they don't actually want connection to it.
That's good.
That's why they have a new flag now. So I thought maybe this was a symbol that is trying to show that Monteverde and the Eden Island were in the Caribbean, perhaps. But
that would be wild. We have 17 days to get to the Caribbean after we first go to...
I did do a quick calculation just to see, and I thought, okay, let's say they're traveling by whale 24 hours a day at 17 miles per hour. How far can they get? And I said, okay, maybe they, 15 days, because one day they spend on Monteverde,
right,
and one day they spend at the Eden Island. So 15 days, it's like 5,600 miles, give or take, that they can travel, which would get them a lot farther than I thought.
Okay, where does it get them?
I don't remember exactly, but
did they
definitely, I was looking at like Mediterranean areas, because to me it's very Mediterranean, and it feasibly would be possible, assuming they can travel at 17 miles per hour that entire time.
I mean, they can't.
They can't with the old vessel.
We know they don't
with
travel.
The new vessel they can't. With the old vessel they could.
No, they can't, because they're not hooked up to whale for most of it.
With the old vessel.
No, but
you're right, that they lose that pretty quick.
Yeah, they're only hooked up to the whale for like a little bit. So before and after that, they're going at normal boat speeds.
Right.
And then we're assuming the new vessel goes the same speed as the old vessel.
But it doesn't, because its sails are so tattered.
Yeah, but I think it's not really about the quality of the sails. It's like
the heart of the crew.
Yeah. I also got the same when Stubbins today, when he was welcome to the crew and Dolittle said his thing. I was thinking part of the crew, part of the ship.
Part of the ship, part of the crew, part of the ship. I do have a few other notes that I wrote down that I skipped over. Chi-Chi is humming a song when he's giving Dolittle a massage.
Yeah, it was God Save the Queen.
God Save the Queen, or perhaps My Country 'Tis of Thee.
Yeah, no, that works.
Polly says you need to go help the Queen. If the Queen dies, the Treasury gets the deed and we lose the house.
Exactly. So
Dab says we get kicked out if the Queen dies.
yeah.
So that's like foreigners living in the UK. The Queen dies, being Brexit from the EU.
Do you think that all the animals have been kicked out of UK?
From Brexit?
No,
Oh, you mean
because the Queen died.
because the Queen died? Oh, you mean now?
Yes, I mean
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Do you think they've gotten rid of all of their animals?
There was probably, the Queen did die, and they probably lost the house.
When did the Queen die?
That was at the start of this year, wasn't it?
It was probably right before hunting season, if I had to guess.
The middle of hunting
The
season.
middle of hunting season.
Even
You know, if only she had the Eden fruit.
could live forever.
Yeah, or like another year.
So she could have made the 100th anniversary.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, what was it?
Wasn't she?
What was the Jubilee they were going to celebrate with her? Was it 75 years? She was 1 year away from something big.
I don't know.
They were really excited. NBC had all the coverage prepared or whatever channel it was. They
That
made all their
rules.
monarchy propaganda.
Oh, you're not pro monarchy here?
On July 4th? Never. Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
me either. Which animals do you think are the most likely to revolt against the monarchy?
Yoshi seems American. Kevin seems American.
Kevin is anti-monarchy.
Right.
He's anti-monarchy. Well, Kevin can be seen as a sympathizer, because first he's anti-monarchy, and then he's like brought in, and he sort of starts to love everyone.
Well, it's the magic of the tree that beckons him, right? So it's this idea of maybe there is a cure for Brexit.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking
Maybe they can rejoin.
Colonialism and expansion. He's like lured into the great out.
Imperialism.
And then once he finds it, he's like, "Oh, God save the Queen! We need to send out more
We need more imperialist
Yeah.
conquests.
Yeah, Yoshi is definitely anti-monarchist. We had a list of this, didn't we?
I don't know if we did.
All I know is that Yoshi and Plimpton would 100% be throwing tea into the harbor.
TNT into the harbor, perhaps.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
Yes. Woo!
Robert Downey Jr., of course. You know, I heard the reason why he based it off of a Welsh doctor is because he was so disgusted by the idea of playing an Englishman with himself being an American.
Oh. Yeah, he already has to do that as Sherlock Holmes. There's a reason they haven't made a sequel yet, because he really doesn't want to play an Englishman.
Because he finally learned that we were originally ruled by England. He didn't know that until recently, and that's why they haven't made a
Sherlock Holmes.
He refuses to work with Guy
Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie, yeah.
Good lore. Good theory.
Aren't they talking about making a new one?
Yeah,
I
they
feel
have
like
been.
it's coming up a lot. Because Guy Ritchie really needs to make a hit. He's desperate.
And Dolittle, Robert Downey Jr. needs a recovery film. So Team Downey's desperate. The Iron Man's not coming back.
I think Iron Man's coming back. I think after this, like phase 6 or whatever, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back.
That'd be funny.
That's what's going to happen. Is the way they win is like, oh, we need to unite the Avengers from all the multiverses, and then they're all back.
They come through portals.
Yeah.
In a big battle at the end.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange snaps and they all come through portals.
Right. Everyone goes, roar.
Yeah, I'm a big Marvel head. Everyone tells me that.
I marvel at the size of your head. That's for darn sure.
Oh, yeah, I do have a big head. It's beyond.
Okay. Any other July 4th Dolittle thoughts?
No.
Got anything besides Dolittle?
I watched on the umbrellas of
Cherbourg.
Cherbourg. I liked it. It was a lot sadder than I thought it would be.
It is a sad movie. Yeah.
Because I've only watched his happy ones.
It's a happy, sad movie. It's tragic, but it's real. It's like
longing. And the beginning of the movie is so happy and positive that I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a happy, fun movie. And then 30 minutes in, it got really dark. We're not like dark, but like sad.
The use of color in that movie, I really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, in general, beautiful movie, and I love how everything was sung. It was great.
That blew my mind whenever I watched that movie, because that was the first Jacques Demy movie that I watched. I was like, what? What's going on?
You should watch.
I don't think I'd seen a musical like that before.
The Girls of Rochefort. I probably like that one better because it's more like it's entirely positive, and I really, really like how it's structured. But it's just a musical. It's not like it's a traditional musical.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah, watch Umbrellas of Cherbourg. It's really, really good. The other thing is, at my house, we like to never do laundry, so it's just been sitting in hampers. We finally did it, and we watched Batman, the Tim Burton one, while we did it, and then we still had more laundry to do, so we watched the Batman Returns. But now there's no laundry in the house. We burned it all.
That's good. I'm glad that your laundry got through.
And those are both good. I remember liking Batman Returns more, and this time I was more uncomfortable because I don't remember the Penguin being a weird sex pest.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable.
Was he like James level, or was he like producer, like smoking cigar, casting couch level?
James level, but like times 10, right?
Okay.
Like more overt and gross.
Sleazy.
Yeah, super sleazy and disgusting. And it's like, you don't need to do this. We get he's the bad guy. Why is he horny?
Okay.
That was my thoughts. And especially like in his like, he has like a gang full of carnival workers. And there's like girls in there. So like, why is this sleazy man? Like, the other point is like, Catwoman's supposed to be like, she's also really horny. And that was also kind of uncomfortable. I was more uncomfortable this time, I guess, but I just still liked it. And then the first one I think I like even more. I think Jack Nicholson's incredible.
The Joker.
Oh, one thing to know about it is Michael Keaton is probably the best Bruce Wayne. He comes off as like just really odd and like something's not right with him, but he's like clearly a normal person. Like you wouldn't guess as he's Batman, you would just think he's really odd. Yeah, it just makes so much more sense. And then in the second movie, it works with him. Like it's shown like, oh no, he truly is Batman. Like that's his preferred
mode.
Yeah, and it makes sense like with him being odd. He's the best one at portraying that, where he seems like a normal person, or at least more normal. Because like one of the issues with the new one,
is that the one that has Mr. Freeze in it?
No, that is Batman Robin.
Oh, okay.
The first two Batman movies are like really good Tim Burton movies.
What happens in the second one? Is Penguin the main villain, or is he a side villain?
There are three villains. There's like too many characters. It's kind of a mess. Penguin, and then there's Max Schreck, who is Christopher Walken playing Christopher Walken, and he's incredible. Christopher Walken's great in it. And then there's Catwoman, who's like a sort of foil character who's villainous.
Is that Michelle Pfeiffer?
Yeah, and she's great. But what's his name? Christopher Walken played like a shrewd businessman who's like not afraid of things. He's just calculating his way out of things. Was like really fun. I really liked him. Yeah, I mean it's worth the watch. We're going next time we have laundry, which will be never since we burned all of our clothes. We're watching Batman Forever. It's the laundry movies.
Batman is a good laundry movie. It's a popcorn flick, so to speak.
I haven't seen Batman Begins or any of those in a while. And I remember Christian Bale's Batman or Bruce Wayne being okay.
Yeah, just sort of rich guy.
But like Michael Keaton has like a lot of personality and he's like weird. So it's like it deflects more, if that makes sense. Because, like, oh, he's just a weirdo. He's like a rich weirdo, if that makes sense.
Which, in terms of rich people, that fits.
Yeah, exactly.
Bunch of weirdos.
What have you been doing?
I watched a movie that I really, really liked.
I know you watched Dolittle yesterday.
I did watch Dolittle yesterday. There's a genre of popcorn movie, specifically, that whenever I stumble upon them, bring me intense joy.
Oh.
I'm thinking like in the realm of Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah.
In the realm of Valerian City of a Thousand Planets. These large, dumb, fun,
horribly flawed.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a part of it.
There's flaws to them, but they don't care about them.
Yeah.
They're made in a way that they know there are flaws and it's fun. They're visual spectacles. They're adventures, they're action adventures.
They're like what's the term? It's like an ego movie. It's like the directors are making the movie they want and it's only for them.
Yeah.
Another one would be like Malignant.
Haven't seen it.
You should watch Malignant.
Well, the one that I watched, that I stumbled upon, it's called Alienoid.
Okay.
It is from 2022. And the actual title, when you translate it, it's a Korean movie, but when you translate it, it's Alien and Human Part 1. Basically, it's like the first half of a movie.
Yeah.
It feels like you're watching 3 movies at once. It was so much fun.
I'll have to watch it. Alienoid?
Part 2 is supposed to come out later this year. It ends just like in the middle of a movie because it's basically meant to be like a 5-hour movie. There's things that I love in it, like time travel, and it's a period piece set in like the Goryeo dynasty, but it's also like a wuxia, but it's also like a superhero movie with aliens, but it's also like a fish out of water coming of age story.
Okay.
But it's all like there's so much going on in this movie, and it was so much fun to watch.
Now
I had a blast.
Okay,
It's not good, but it's so much fun.
I was gonna say you compared it to Jupiter Ascending.
Jupiter Ascending vibes because you get thrown into this world and things aren't really explained to you.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, this is the way things are in this world, and you get to watch it. And as long as you're okay with that, you're on board with that, you'll have fun.
I feel like part of the pleasure of Jupiter Ascending is the things that are explained are so inexplicably stupid.
Yes, you get some of that too.
Okay.
There's a lot
like how
going
they
on.
were constantly going off of the likeness or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed Jupiter Ascending. It's one of my faves.
I think that this has that kind of energy. I hope in saying that, I don't hype it up too much, but it's
okay.
It genuinely feels like you're watching 3 movies simultaneously.
It is great.
It's the kind of popcorn movie that there's like levels to popcorn movies, right? You got like your big dumb ones like Transformers.
Your ones that you watch and then you leave and you've gained nothing.
Right. You forget about them. There's like fun adventure. There's different layers to it, and it's visual spectacle. In soccer how they do like the player grids, the hexagon things. I forget what they're called, but you can compare players to each other. I think that there's hexagons for popcorn movies, right? And it's like dumbness, funness, goodness.
I feel like smartness is on there too.
Smartness, yeah. And, they all slide it, you advance along the edges.
Part of Byebye is it's like incredibly dumb and incredibly smart.
It's also incredibly fun.
Byebye's stats are just maxed.
Right, yeah. Push all the sliders out. Runtime really high.
The only issue with Byebye is the first movie ends on the trailer of the second movie when it could just end with this. It should just be one movie. I would watch a 6-hour Byebye.
Alienoid probably should have just been a 5-hour movie.
Yeah, that rules.
Instead, it's separated into parts. I'm looking forward to the second part.
But like that's part of the reason why I think I prefer RRR to Byebye is because it's one movie.
I guess.
I feel like every episode we need to talk about RRR and like Byebye
and Alienoid
and Iga
and Jupiter Ascending.
Mm-hmm. We're huge Rajamouli fans here.
Yeah, and also we like big dumb spectacles.
I would say I'm a huge Wachowski fan.
I have to say, I watched so many awful movies in June.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So many really bad.
Doolittle, Dr. Doolittle.
Dr. Dolittle 2, Doolittle some more, Doolittle some more, Renfield, Barbie Dolphin Magic, Fantasy Football. Even The Mummy Returns is not great, right? It's bad. It's kind of fun, but it's bad.
Yeah.
So I was sort of feeling down on movies.
So now you're just going to try to watch good movies.
Now that I watched a dumb, fun popcorn movie, it reminds me what makes movies fun again, which is that they can be dumb and big and spectacles. And it makes me go, okay, I like movies. Because I was really feeling, maybe I don't like movies anymore.
But part of like,
Maybe
I don't know. I like watching bad movies.
We're 26 weeks into Dolittle, and I was getting to a point where, can I like any movies?
Do you think
are movies capable of being good?
All right. So I have a question for you to kind of tie in the this being the 26th.
Yeah.
What do you think the future holds for our Doolittle viewings?
I really don't know.
Do you think that we are going to become more, like, as you become more positive into July, do you think we are going to become more positive on Doolittle into December?
No. I have
a feeling
honest.
that the December viewings are going to be a blast.
I think December will be fun because we get to watch a double feature in December.
Oh no, I just meant because it's going to be
We're almost done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a sense of relief in December.
Yeah.
I don't know about fun, but relief.
Well, I think the last one's going to be longing because we'll be like, oh, it's done.
Yeah.
And then we'll
Do you think
continue to watch this for 10 more years.
This is what I was just about to say. It's July 4th. Every July 4th, I watch Independence Day.
Yeah.
It's tradition. I was thinking this because of that. Every January 17th, will I watch Dolittle? Will I watch it once a year? I probably will, because
Yeah.
after watching it 52 times.
I will say, when I first watched it after... it was like a full year, and when I first watched it again, I was so excited, and it was great. So I think now, like, our interest in this movie is something like so personal.
It can't be separated. We can't separate
inexplicable
ourselves from Dolittle.
that I think once we get out of this like swamp of watching it constantly, that it will be a comfort movie of some sort, because it's something we are so familiar with.
I will have no qualms about watching Dolittle.
There are no qualms here.
Watching Dolittle on January 17th every year. Dolittle Day. I'll do that.
Doolittle Day.
I'll probably have fun. January 17th of every year.
Yeah, I marked it. I took it off
I'm never
work.
going to watch
I'll
it
be
again.
there.
I'm never going to watch it outside of January 17th. Though.
That's fair.
It has to be like a holiday. It's Dolittle Day. We're halfway done. That feels pretty good, but it's also bad.
We're only halfway done.
We're only halfway done.
I mean,
are you half glass full or are you half glass empty? How are you feeling?
I think that my next viewing, I'm going to view with a breath of fresh air, and I'm going to be so excited for next week. I'm very excited to watch it again next week. No, really. Don't laugh at me.
I'm laughing
At me.
at
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Because I'm not. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I just know it holds more Doolittle. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, well, viewers, you'll have to decide for yourself. Listeners, viewers. Why are you making a guy move your hand?
This is a Freudian slip. I didn't mean to make a gun.
Frank, please.
I wish Dolittle was a fun popcorn movie instead of a bad popcorn movie. That's all I'll say after 26 weeks of viewing.
Frank, before we wrap up this very special episode, what's your favorite quote from this first half of the year?
My favorite quote in our Viewlittle experience is that the boy? I feel kind of
Yeah.
down about saying that. Like, I feel like it should be something better.
Is that the boy?
Because it feels like such a surface level quote.
You know what
I
mine
mean?
is?
Respect.
It's no good.
That's a good quote.
Yeah, it kind of summarizes the movie for me.
After 26 viewings, we should have deeper quotes.
Yeah, I was listening for him today, and I was like, oh, this is a good one. We never say this one, and I forgot them all. And that's why we never say them. Well, this is Finn.
And I'm Frank.
And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Happy July 4th, everybody.
And there is a chance that this one won't be released on the 4th.
No, there's not.
No, there's not. I don't know why I'd be telling these people this.
Tuesday's the 4th.
Yeah.
So it's going on the 4th.
Oh, it is going on the 4th. Well, if you're listening at home and this isn't released on the 4th, I'm sorry. We failed you. I was thinking of like giving it like, because it's a holiday, we might, we could have taken this week off, honestly. Like we could have watched it and not done the podcast because it was a holiday. But we did.
That's cheating. Why? Let's take off the rest of the year.
Because it's a holiday.
Let's have a holiday the rest of the year. Honestly, we should take off the rest of the year.
I mean, we still have to watch it. I was just saying for the podcast, we could have been like, it's a holiday.
Why? People do that?
No, you're right. I'm sorry. Anyway, goodbye.
History will remember me. Can I change my favorite quote?
Yeah.
It's absolutely all of the lines delivered by our friend, the lieutenant.
That's fair.
Because
You have a magnificent chin, sir.
we need more of that energy in this movie.
Going into the second half, I hope we can all have more lieutenant energy.
More lieutenant energy and less Brexit talk.
Goodbye.
Bye.